So President Yoon now has just 2 hearings left to defend himself and prove the legitimacy of his martial law declaration. How will he make use of the remaining sessions? Let's turn to Professor Se-ryun this morning. It's good to have you back with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
So why do you think Yoon may not show up for today's hearing? Do you think he will make himself present?
Well, I think there's an equally good reason to be there and not to be there. First of all, he doesn't have to be there. There's no testimonies of witnesses, and he is a prime witness, so he doesn't get to talk, presumably. So he can skip it. But at the same time, this is the most important schedule that he has these days. And I think the reason to be there might be that he wants to rally his supporters outside just to be in the news. So I think that if he shows up, it won't surprise me. But if he doesn't show up, probably he wants to spend a day strategizing what to come in the 10th, the hearing, and maybe beyond.
Well, legal experts think Yoon will show up on Thursday with the Prime Minister Han Duck-soo appearing as a witness this time. Now, why do you think the court decided to have Prime Minister Han Duck-soo as a witness after turning down the request from Yoon's side so many times? Why the need now?
Well, initially, I think the court's reasoning was that, remember, we have to distinguish the criminal trial and the constitutional proceedings. They might have thought that they have enough testimonies to decide on the constitutional question. But there is a high public interest in this trial, and the president's side has consistently asked for more witnesses. So I think the court might have reconsidered and say that, well, we're going to give a benefit of doubt and give as much accommodation to the respondent so that there won't be any criticisms or a major issue about the fairness of the trial. So essentially, court is bending over backwards on the procedures. Even if they didn't think it was necessary, but why not? Give them a chance to say whatever they want to say at the last minute. I think it is pretty clear that it's wrapping up the last stage. So what makes a difference in 4 or 5 days?
Right, maybe they're trying to highlight the transparency of this whole, political drama. Now, at the 10th hearing on Thursday, then Han and President Yoon will face each other for the first time since Yoon declared the martial law back in December 2024. Now, what kind of statements do you expect to hear from Han this time?
I think we know what he's going to say mostly. He would think that the procedure was a little bit faulty and the martial law was not a good idea. I think he'll repeat that. Why do we want to have that? Well, from the defense side, they want to cross-examine him to discredit him. And the close and very active cross-examination has that effect. And just shaking the foundation or some premises that Mr. Han Duck-soo had in deciding whether the procedure was faulty or the martial law was out of the question. So I think that they want to have that day in court to cross-examine Mr. Han Duck-soo to shake his previous testimonies.
Professor Song, another hot potato here is the date of the final and 10th hearing on Thursday. Yoon's lawyers have filed a petition to change the date, push it back to the near future, arguing more time is needed as President himself, like you mentioned, is preparing for criminal trial proceedings. How likely do you think the court will actually accept the request?
Now, defense team's actions can be categorized in major big buckets, but one of the big buckets is to either delay or prolong the proceedings. I think you can look at it from that way. However, it is a plausible argument that there are 2 important proceedings on the same day. So going back to the court's willingness to bend over backwards to accommodate the defense team, maybe they'll allow it so that they won't have a criticism that they're rushing it through to give undue burden to the defense team to defend on the 2 important the accusations on the same day. But I think they will be still mindful of the kind of a deadline, that the 180 days a deadline, but the realistic deadline is April 18th when the 2 justices come off the bench. So I don't think they will allow too much prolonging of the proceedings, even if they do allow some accommodations.
Right, we all know the time is ticking. Now, if the court accepts Yoon's request, the ruling day will be pushed back as well. Is that so?
Yes, but not as much as we might think. I mean, if there is any gap in the proceedings, justices can get together and talk about what has happened so far and further their examination, further their deliberation of the case. So having more proceedings or more sessions might even shorten their deliberation time afterwards. So in the end, I don't think it'll make too much difference. I think the justices will get very nervous if the prolonging gets to the April dates. So I think that they will try very hard to accommodate, but at the same time, keep it under the dates of the March or sometime maybe early part of April. Remember that the President Roh Moo-hyun's and the President Park Geun-hye's proceedings took 2 months and 3 months. And the 3 months mark would be early part of March. So I don't think it'll go very far beyond that. If it takes 4 months, that's not strange, but not 5.
Alrighty, Professor Song, thank you so much for joining us this morning. As always, you have a wonderful day.
You too. My pleasure. Thank you.